There we go. Hi, everyone. Welcome back to The Things We Know. I'm Lisa Callahan.
And I'm Kari Morin. Today, I'm super excited about our guest that we have, both the topic and especially the guest, because I adore her. It's Gemma Haig, all the way from New Zealand and my new favorite city, Wellington, on the south tip of the North Island there. Welcome. And thanks for making the time.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. I'm excited.
I'm super excited because this topic continues on the theme of mental health, which, of course, we've been working through all throughout May, since that is Mental Health Awareness Month. Kari, do you want to kick off her bio?
I do. So you can both sit back and take all this in, especially you, my beautiful friend, because you have accomplished a lot, and it's really a pleasure to introduce you. In fact, Lisa is going to help me because there's a few things here. And so I think it'll be fun for us both to do some of it. So I love kind of what you provided us and what I know, and weaving it together has just been really fun for me. So Gemma is a empowerment coach working with women to improve their mood health and career well-being. So important. She's coached hundreds of women and some men in some shape or form for nearly 2 decades, and she thrives on seeing others' moods and confidence in life transform. Your career started out as a seamstress, including making designer clothes, which is super cool. Was very happy being behind the scenes, but on the inside, she knew she dreamt of having a business. So in 2006, after completing her bachelor's in psychology at the age of 21, she started a women's gym franchise and went on to open a second one a couple years later. Her psych degree certainly came in handy there. Through this nearly 10-year fitness, weight management, and lifestyle business ownership and coaching journey, she transformed not only many of her members' lives, but also her own.
My turn. So since then, she's continued to upskill herself in health and neuro and master coach certifications, along with various coaching roles and experience. Gemma's own mental well-being and personal growth journey has been the testing ground for all she is now ready to share with the world. She learned to understand and love her own brain over that time, and now at 40 has found a newfound confidence, clarity, and commitment to showing up in an authentic and powerful way to help many, many more women learn to love their unique brain and cultivate, I love this, a hot mind. Her passion is to help other women get to know, love, and be themselves, to really embrace their own uniqueness, edit their beliefs to more empowering ones, here, uncover their potential for incredible growth, and learn to love their brain. She believes this is the absolute best education you can get is yourself.
And also, most importantly, she's among the 3 gorgeous and sassy girls, and I've had the pleasure of playing with all 3 of them. Married to a really wonderful guy, very supportive husband who grew up with all boys, but is really, kind of embracing the fun side of raising all girls, right? So he's doing well to embrace all the girl power and supporting his wife along with his own great career. She's a major foodie. Jim is a major foodie. I am a really lucky recipient of her wonderful food when I was there. She loves pink, yoga, nature, especially the sea, light reading of brain health literature, and a sucker for anything girl power. So welcome, Gemma. How does it feel to sit back and receive and hear all that and reflect on all you've accomplished so far?
It's amazing, actually. When you invited me to come on to the podcast, I was like, what am I going to talk about? I haven't really done anything. So actually sitting down and doing that exercise, obviously I've still got some limiting beliefs there, but sitting down and doing that exercise was really empowering in itself. And actually I recommend everyone writes a bio, to be honest, whether you're doing anything with it or not, because it really does help you reflect on the journey that you've been on. It's really important to appreciate what journey you've been on that leads you to the point that you're at. You could never plan it this way. So I feel really grateful and excited about what's to come next.
I love it.
So thank you.
So speaking of journey, you have sort of self-identified as a shy seamstress to confident coach. I love that. I love that phrase. Tell us a little bit about that journey. Like, I know we just did your bio, but in your own words.
I was what I sometimes describe as chronically shy in school. Growing up, I struggled with everything. I struggled to talk to people. I struggled to have any belief in myself. I didn't trust myself. It was really actually quite painful. So that's where, when you talked about the seamstress role and wanting to be in the background, was kind of that was my life. That was what I was going to do. I was going to be behind the scenes in some kind of role where I didn't have to talk to anyone. I had lots of friends, really close friends, but I didn't have any confidence whatsoever. And for anyone out there that has confidence issues, you will understand how debilitating it can be. So when I was studying psychology, I got a job as a seamstress. Then it wasn't clothes, but it moved on to clothes as well. So I ended up doing a lot of sewing, and I love the creative space. But I actually developed a chronic injury, and I think what's called an OOS, or in my shoulder, and I got frozen shoulder, and I couldn't move. It was another debilitating thing. I'm not sure whether it was a sign for me to do something else. But what I actually did was had quite intensive therapy, and they recommended that I join a gym. And so I joined this local gym. And because I was shy and not confident, I didn't want to go to a conventional gym. So I chose this little boutique women's gym that happened to be in my hometown. And I kind of fell in love with it. It rehabilitated me in such an amazing way. It gave me the physical strength, but it also gave me the mental strength to realize that I actually had the power to sort of help myself. And that's when I had this crazy idea that I could start my own. And luckily, my parents and my husband was on board. He was my boyfriend then. And I moved cities, and I just threw myself into this. And looking back now, it's unbelievable that I did that with the zero confidence that I had, but there was something else inside me that was really pulling me to do this. So yeah, I moved cities. I started there on my own, and I had this franchise where I had to hire staff and do all the everything. It was quite incredible, really, that I pulled it off. And it went really well. And for some reason, I just felt confident while I was in that space. So I found a place where I felt like I could sort of be myself. And everyone trusted me. And yeah, it was incredible. And throughout that process, there were a lot of trainings involved. There was a lot of fitness, weight management, and behavior modification type trainings. They had a big university. It's an international franchise around the world. So they had a lot of support. But through coaching these women, hundreds of them, I did open a second one a few years later. So I actually was running 2 of them. I loved the process of coaching them and helping them achieve their goals, but there was always something missing. There was, even the ones that were so committed and would do all the right things, there was just no lasting change. There was just something that didn't quite pull them towards becoming the person that they wanted to be. There was always just, yeah. And so I sort of dove really deep then into researching how to help these women create this lasting change so that they're getting the benefits from their workouts and the goals that they're setting for themselves, but actually so that it can actually transform their whole life. And the interesting thing is that I didn't mention is this gym was targeted to sort of over 40-year-olds. So there weren't that many young ones. So I was in there at 21, 22, coaching 50, 60-year-olds. And I really thrived on that. It was really amazing. And obviously everyone has different goals at different points of their life, but we all have sort of the same focus really deep down, that we want to improve ourselves. We want to feel better. We want to embrace life. We don't want to just sort of survive here. We really want to thrive. And so that experience was so invaluable. And later on in that journey of owning the gyms, I think what it was called back then was holistic MBA.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, so I actually signed up for the health coach training. It would have been like 12 or 13 years ago. And I was like, oh wow, this is it. This is what I've been looking for. So I studied that, but I also just spent all my spare time reading, learning about the brain, learning about my brain, and realizing that it is quite different to other people's brains. And, I didn't sort of realize until recently how important that is, understanding your own self. So eventually the gym thing came to an end because it was a franchise. I wasn't able to implement the things that I wanted to because there were set rules around what we could do. And I felt like I could do more. So I wanted to actually put myself out there and grow. So eventually we sold both of them. And it's been a bit of a messy 30s, I would say, in terms of career, but my love for sort of learning about myself, my brain, mood health, all of those things just got stronger and stronger. So I've worked at another gym. I've just recently worked at a recruitment company where I was coaching their contractors. And a lot of these contractors were like CEOs and general managers, and I just felt like they were all stuck with the same things that everyone else is. Even though they were hugely successful, they were still stuck in some area. And so looking back, I realized that your path, you could design it how you wanted to, but actually sometimes you just have to sort of go with the flow and see where it takes you, because I'm at a place now where I never would have dreamed of, and actually I've still got a long way to go. I'm kind of only just getting started really, but the having the injury, I think a lot of the times it's really about focusing on what is the gift, or what is the positive thing that I could take out of all these challenging times, because there was so many challenging times that I had to deal with staff and personal injuries, my personal mood health, which was a constant battle. And looking back now, I realize that all of those things were there for me to grow in a way that I can move forward in a more sort of positive and empowering way. And now I just really want to help others go through this sort of journey in their own way, from what I've learned, but in a much faster, less painful way. So
before we go digger, before we dig deeper, I think is the word I was looking for, on what your sort of approach, I have a quick question based on what you were just talking about.
Yeah.
So, because you've gone through some of the same training that Kari and I have, that our experiences inform our beliefs. So you get into this gym and you all of a sudden you have confidence and you're not shy. So obviously you felt that there was some sense of safety or love, belonging right at the gym. When you look back pre the gym and you didn't feel like you had confidence, was there some experience that had happened to you? I hope I'm not getting too personal, but some experience that had happened earlier in life or in general that made you not feel confident? Because that's such a quick turnaround. Like, oh, all of a sudden I'm buying a gym and I'm super confident in what I'm doing. It's like, how did that happen?
I mean, looking back, I may not have been like super confident when I first started, but I definitely had the confidence to go through with it. Yeah. I know that I do things quite differently to my family. And so I think a lot of it from when I was really young was keeping myself small to make sure that I didn't, this is the sort of work that I've done more recently, keeping myself small to make sure that I sort of didn't upset the balance of the family, because they're all very comfortable where they are and not necessarily striving for more. And so me feeling like I wanted to do more or be more felt wrong or
disloyal or something.
Disloyal. Yeah, that's a good word. I think, it really did feel that. And it's actually that process that I've gone through has been the most painful, where I feel like I can get to a point where I can say, this is who I am and I'm proud of her. And if other people have an issue with that, then that's okay. That's not my problem. And so I think that might have been it. Both my parents are quite shy themselves.
Okay.
And so I think there was something calling me to not be that person, but it was a learned behavior as well. So I don't know if there was one particular event or anything, but I even notice it now sometimes when I'm around my family. There can be, they don't know any different, but they can be quite maybe uncomfortable with the way that I choose to live and what I'm focusing on. So I think that might be it.
Yeah, that makes sense.
That's a beautiful answer to what Lisa's asking, because it sounds like otherwise you're right, it sounded like an after school special, like a quick turnaround, but but that's not who you were. It was who you were taught to be or conditioned to be. And so like this helped you uncover who you really are, which is so cool. Can you say, so you touched on this a little, and I want to go more into, like, just because it's interesting to me, about like helping women understand their brains and their moods, and your unique approach, to really help people with their mental well-being by using positive psychology. Can you talk a little bit more about that?
I think the brain really interested me, because I think the biggest pain point that I felt was that felt like I was constantly fighting my brain, and we weren't on the same team. And so I was like, there's got to be a way that we can work together here. And so that's sort of where that journey started. And so when I started learning about the brain, I realized that a lot of us are living in a place of sort of low level stress, even if we don't feel like we are. And what that does is kind of switches off our prefrontal cortex part of the brain and switches on the sort of survival brain. And so a lot of us are going through life with just using our brain at just a small percentage of what we're capable of. I mean, we all do it, but it's actually when you're in a place where that low level stress is there all the time and it doesn't switch off, it affects everything. And so I'm not going to talk too much about it today because I get so excited and I'd go really deep with it. So, but my focus is to help women get really excited about learning about their brain, but in a way that is not overwhelming or daunting, like trying to keep the neuroscience really fun and simple, and show that you can actually change your brain. And that's what's most exciting too, is that you're not stuck with the brain that you have. And a lot of it, your brain and your mind is like, your mind is not necessarily your true mind. It's conditioned to be a certain way, as I just sort of illustrated. And when you take sort of control of that process about learning about yourself, it is incredibly powerful, because you become kind of friends with your brain. You can learn about the parts that make you unique, which might have been painful before, but you can turn them into a positive. And the positive psychology aspect that I love, because when I was studying psychology, there was a lot of the clinical focus, what's wrong with you, how do we fix what's wrong? And I've always felt uncomfortable with that, because I feel like none of us are broken. I kind of liken it to a messy room, like a really messy, cluttered room is what your brain or mind is like. Underneath, it's clean and tidy, but there's all this mess sort of over the top. But when you move it out and you clean it out, you can find that clean, tidy room that you are happy to live in is there underneath. And so the positive psychology aspect is actually looking at where your strengths are, where you thrive, and really embracing that. Because also when you focus on the positive aspects of your life, like feeling grateful and having some tools to work with so that you keep in that state of feeling good, you can actually wire your brain to look for more of that. So your filter system in your brain will actually start looking for more of those things. And so when we focus on what's wrong with us or what we need to fix, it gets your brain stuck in kind of looking for more of those things to validate your beliefs around that. So of course there's lots of like brain, like actual brain conditions that need to be dealt with, of course, but there's also a lot that we can control, and that's where I'm focused on, is taking your power back, feeling in control of the process, like sort of digging deep and learning so much about yourself that you actually can't help but move in the right direction. Yeah. And it actually becomes easier. So that's where sort of the positive psychology part comes in. It's not just about thinking positive. That doesn't work. There's sort of a few tools that you need in order to make sure that that's effective. Yeah.
Well, I love that. And I think you've brought some tools. I'm thinking as we're sitting here, last week's was all about chronic pain and how you can deal with chronic pain with positive thoughts, to your point.
Yeah.
If I'm always thinking, oh my God, I'm in so much pain, then I'm going to be in so much pain because I get stuck in that and it just reinforces it. But if I'm thinking, okay, I can walk to the grocery and not be in pain, it changes it. It doesn't change my hip, but it does change my psychology around it. So
Absolutely.
I think you brought some tools to sort of share with our listeners around how to build your own sort of mental well-being toolbox. Is that true?
Yeah. Do you want to hear them?
I would love
to.
Yeah. The first one.
I want to say real quick too, like listening to you reminds me of what we refer to in our training a lot as critter brain, right? Like it's
and yes.
And when I'm doing parts work with people or, reframing, I'm always like, we're not trying to get rid of your critter brain. She's part of you, like I think of it like the child version of you or the part of you that's working so hard. And it's not necessarily telling you the truth. It's telling you, it's speaking from fear. And but it doesn't mean like you get rid of it. And so I love what you're saying is like befriending it and working together.
Yeah. And also a part of that is, because I've experienced quite a lot of like anxious thoughts. I don't like to call it anxiety. I have thoughts that are anxious. And a lot of the time it's actually kind of like an alarm to remind you that there's something that needs to be, attention needs to be given to something. So I think that's where you can look at that, like obviously if it's overactive, then that's where it becomes a problem. But also those sort of what we say as negative feelings can actually be a call to make a different decision or go down a different path or be aware of something. As mums, we know that really well. Like I get a lot of anxious thoughts. I nearly fall asleep and then I suddenly dream about the pram going down a steep hill with the baby in it. So it's about it's kind of actually one of the steps here will help with this. So should I jump in?
Yeah, please.
Yeah.
Cool. So the first one is my absolute favorite one. And I've had this belief for a long time and a lot of people think it's a bit strange, but prioritizing and adding more novelty to your day. And the reason that, so while our brain likes to be safe and to not go too far out of our comfort zone, if you stay there, that's where you'll stay. Your brain also likes novelty and your prefrontal cortex likes novelty. And focusing on things that bring you joy and making that a priority every single day. Because when you do that, it actually changes your whole state. And so when you change your state, your physiology, by these feel-good feelings, it just actually creates momentum that leads to more of that. And a lot of us wait until we've got time to do joyful things in our day. And if I did that, there would be no time. You can sort of include joy and novelty into anything. And it can be something super tiny and simple, like going a different way to work or putting on a song when everyone's feeling a bit flat.
Yeah.
and dancing, whatever it is, but actually doing things that bring you joy, and actually maybe sitting down and thinking about what were the things that I used to love to do that I'm not doing now. Because I feel like a lot of the time my mood was low. I experienced low moods, or maybe some days I probably even called it feeling depressed, because I wasn't doing enough of what brought me joy. And as soon as I did that, I felt like alive again. So sometimes it can be as simple as that, adding more joy. The second one that kind of leads into that a little bit is what I call a gem state. So, play on my name. I love doing things like that. It's a grateful and empowered mood. And to get into a grateful and empowered mood, we focus on changing our state from where we are. So if we're sitting down at our desk and feeling like this, and our whole body is, looking like we're feeling down, then your brain's going to go, oh, she's feeling down. So changing the state, getting up and moving, standing tall, chest up, will tell your brain that, oh, actually, she's feeling okay. And putting a big smile on your face, that will help. We can actually trick our brains quite well by doing things like that. As silly as it seems, it really does work. The grateful part of that is, I know there's a lot out there about gratitude, and for years I just didn't do it because I just didn't really understand the why behind it and why it's so powerful. But just actually looking at things that you appreciate, because the more you look for things that you appreciate in your day or your life, the more you see of that, the more it appreciates. So we have a little technique at home, which I learned from positive psychology. At night, we talk about our favorite part of the day with the kids, and they absolutely love doing this. And if we don't do it at dinner time, they remind us. So we all talk about what their favorite part of the day is, and we sometimes talk about what was hard as well. So that's quite a good thing to do, and then we can look at for ways to appreciate the hard times as well. But actually, for yourself, if you do 3 things that went really well that day, or that you appreciate, or that you're grateful for every single night, that one exercise could actually just change your whole outlook. And it would create this momentum, like I said, as you go on every day. That's been really powerful for me. There's always, we actually only see around, 10% of what's really out there, because our brain filters so much. Because if we saw everything and heard everything or felt everything, we'd kind of explode. So we want to channel like the 10% to be the most effective in terms of what direction we want to go in our life. So finding that, channeling that filter.
That kind of reminds me of like the exercise. I've done this with clients too. It's not mine, but it is like looking for tiny miracles or like little magic moments. If you can't access gratitude, and that feels hard for us, and sometimes it feels like it's being imposed on us, go for a walk and train your brain to look for like anything that delights you. Like the color of yellow on a dandelion, a puppy, just a neighbor smiling, something like that, and like see how many you can collect. And for fun, you can actually have them count how many things suck, right? And you can see like where their brain goes. And so I like that. I like that you can actually, it's an exercise that builds the muscle.
I love that that idea too, especially when you're feeling like there's nothing. And then when you find something, it's actually really important to make sure you feel it, because that's what helps change your brain too. The memory and the change happens when you feel it in your body. So, we talk about having a strong, like learning about your brain and your mind, but actually your body has to work with it. So you actually have to feel it, and just like, if you sit with it for a minute, then it will help change your brain a lot faster.
I'm guessing Lisa's thinking what I'm thinking, which is music helps with that.
Music, always music, 100%. I've got music on a lot, and you can use like actually creating your own playlist if you've got a few songs that you love. It's quite transformative. Sometimes when I'm feeling low and I feel like I really need a nap, but I've got like 3 kids sitting there and I need to feed them, I put my AirPods on and put a few girl power songs on, and have a wee boogie, and a big glass of water, and that can actually change my state. So it's about changing your state. Do the opposite of what you're doing.
Yep.
If you're sort of fit, so grateful and empowered by focusing on things that you appreciate and changing your state so that your brain says, oh, actually she is feeling okay, she's not feeling like this. I like that one.
Like posture too.
Posture, exactly. The posture actually is really important. It's everyone sits up now, I'm sure.
I was all hunched over and I was like, I'm gonna
I bet all the listeners, you're right, they all just went, oh, and sat up straight.
I feel like I know that you've helped so many women, probably even more than you realize, people who are following you, but directly as a coach for sure. Can you share, you tell us one brief little story of a client who had success with this transformation of their mood and well-being?
I've got one who it actually makes me quite emotional to think about. She's written me a big story. It's probably just about easier to. Would you like me to read her testimonial, or do you want me to tell you about her?
Why don't you read her testimonial? That'd be cool.
Okay. She is, when I was working with her, about 20. And I saw a lot of myself in her. She sort of identified as being like having social anxiety and would cry all the time. So it was horrible, but she was so into the process of coaching. It was quite amazing. I might have to put my glasses on to read this. So she said, "Hi, Gemma, hope you're doing well. I'm sorry it's taken me so long to message you. Life has been super busy lately, but I think you've probably guessed that I've found myself in a place that I don't think I need coaching anymore." That's it. That's a conversation for another day, because we always need coaching.
Right.
It kind of just hit me the other day that before coaching, and still about exactly a year ago, I cried a lot about everything all the time, sometimes daily and sometimes weekly. I feel like I was so anxious and upset all the time. Taking time to think about things and crying about it felt like it was a coping mechanism, even though it didn't leave me feeling good. Now, a few weeks ago, I had a sudden physical urge to cry when I realized I can't even remember the last time I cried. And I kind of laughed about it because emotionally, I didn't feel like I needed to cry. I didn't feel upset or overwhelmed, and realized I had nothing to cry about. Then I sat there thinking, I'm genuinely happy. There has been nothing going wrong in my life. Not every day is a good day, and sometimes stuff is rough, but I feel like even if I have no idea what my life will be like in a month, I'm right where I need to be, and everything is meant to be the way it is. That sounds like some of the words I used in my coaching session. I feel like everything that's been so hard has happened because it needed to happen, and it's all led me to where I am now. I feel so in touch with my feelings and emotions, and I love that I can understand them, and negative feelings no longer define me. I love that. Mindfulness has become my new favorite thing. I feel like I have so much power now, and I'm in full control. The best thing has been that I've finally really fully understood that there's no such thing as figuring it all out. Going to work at one job doesn't take away the possibility of experiencing other things in my life. I feel like there's no timeline. I do the most random things now just because I can and I want to. I'm studying, and I've just applied to ground school for becoming a flight attendant, because why not? I'm starting Taekwondo this week. This is someone who couldn't even go out the house and meet friends at the beginning. I run and walk, and it's amazing. I run and walk and do some sort of exercise every day to wind down. And it's crazy how before coaching, it felt like a chore I couldn't get done, even if I wanted to. During coaching, it was a task that I still sometimes felt difficult to do, but I learned to be proud of myself for doing it when I could. And now it's just an automatic basic need and a want. I call it my time to defrost, and I do it first thing after I come home from class. I started noticing all these changes already during coaching, but I've only just recently realized how big of an impact it really has made in my life. And it's really been really huge. I know you said many times you wished you could have had this coaching when you were my age, and I'm so grateful that I got to have it now, not later. I feel like I'm able to be alive now, and I feel like I know exactly who I am as a human. So thank you. It's changed my whole life. Yeah.
That's awesome. Wow, that's about the best testimonial I've ever heard.
I know.
That came quite a long time, like months and months and months after we finished coaching. And
Interesting.
what I love about that is that she was like so stuck in such a dark place. And it shows that, like, with the right sort of support, you can like take yourself anywhere or get yourself out of a funk, that you're not stuck there.
Yeah.
And like while we were coaching, she was like changing her friend group and trying new things and doing this and doing that, which was amazing because she'd been bullied as a young girl, and I think we connected really well because I was too. She was bullied a little bit later, and so she was so stuck, and she was in so much pain mentally, and I think that's the hard part of mental health, is that it isn't invisible. It's not like an injury. And so it is hard to know what people are really going through.
I always do say, like, people aren't walking around with signs. Like, if you're standing in the store, wouldn't it be amazing if someone's like, could barely get out of bed today, be nice to me? Or, like dealing with losing a parent, or, like we don't have that. We don't know what it's carrying.
Exactly. I've always said that we should be kind to everyone because we don't know what they're going through. Even if they're putting on a brave front, because sometimes the ones that seemingly have it all are probably the ones who are struggling the most in some ways. So and actually that's one of my next parts of my toolbox is making sure you do have support like a coach. It doesn't have to be a coach, although for everyone listening, these guys are amazing, and I've had like 18 coaching sessions with Kari, so you should sign up with her. She's amazing. That's why I'm here today, and why this dream that I have is still I'm still focusing on, because Kari's voice is in my head every day.
I love it. Well, speaking of in your mind, tell me about hot minds. I love that phrase. Like, what does that mean?
So HOT stands for higher order thinking.
Okay.
So that's that getting out of the survival state and into like getting the parts of your brain back online that you need to actually function and make decisions and feel good and all of that. So it's about, that's one part of it. It just happened to be, we came up with the name. I say we because I had all these names, and then my husband said, they are all horrible. I think you should call it Hot Minds. Because, I was thinking of targeting like younger women, and that actually getting the focus off the external form of beauty and focusing on beauty inside. So a hot mind is one that actually is beautiful and functioning in the right way and healthy and but then after he said that, I was like, damn it, that is a good name. He's going to get all the credit. Way better than what I had. And then I was in the shower, and then I was like, wow, it stands for higher order thinking too. So that is, it's meant to be.
You both get credit then.
Yeah.
So what do you, when you think, I love that. It makes, it's fantastic. It can go in so many different directions and possibilities. So when you think of your mission, you said you still have so much to do. You've accomplished so much. Every bit of it has led you to here. What do you envision when you think about this? What is Hot Minds how's it going to change the world?
Because I feel like the power that we have is taking back our power by understanding ourselves better. And so part of it, and a lot of this is related to what's worked for me, is getting to really know yourself, who you really are at the deepest level, embracing that, loving that, and then experiencing life in a way that's true for you. So I say know, love, and be yourself, because I find that the times where I feel the best, my brain is calm, it's less busy, it feels good, it feels energized, is when I am being myself. But the only way I got to that point of being myself is getting to learn about the brain and understand who I really am without all that clutter. And so I think that's the most powerful thing. It's actually taking your control, spending a lot of time working out who you are and what you really want. You know, that's something we do in coaching, is finding out what you really want. But a lot of the times we don't really know what we want. And actually, going back to the first sort of foundational steps is actually giving your brain like the nourishment that it needs to actually function in a good way. So it's a lot about the physical part of the brain and making sure that's healthy, and the mental part, like with the thoughts and how your mind works. So your brain and your mind are different, and being able to focus on both of them. And it does start with a healthy brain that turns into a healthy mind, and then a healthy life. So, and we actually all have everything inside of us that we need to be able to do that. We're not broken. We actually do have the potential there. It's just about finding that. And I believe that every little bit of progress you make increases your happiness and contentment. It's not about like reaching a goal, it's the progress, and every little step that you take is more important than all the big stuff, or like looking the right way, or, you know, we have all these ideas of what happiness will bring to us, but a lot of the time that's not really that helpful. So yeah, it really comes back to the health of your brain, being able to master your mind, and be yourself. Because as soon as I realized that I could be myself, I just felt so excited about my life.
I love that.
I love this too, because it's a lot of things are coming to me, like thinking about your journey and what I was able to like have the pleasure to observe and be part of. But like also what you're saying is like you're inviting women to like get to know themselves and trust their intuition. Because I think so much of what my experience as a young woman and growing into and not so young, but not old woman, is that this journey of conditioning and second guessing and not trusting our brains, like not trusting like what we're hearing inside, and second guessing everything. It's like you're not learning about your intuition and that just that internal knowing. And so I love how you're kind of separating the two, and really when you work together, it's learning how to trust that there's nothing crazy or nothing meant to be confusing. There's messages that are giving us signals. I love that. Also just having the pleasure of knowing you. And I think it's probably okay to say this. It's not like this was super linear for you. You had 3 little girls. They're still pretty young, as amazing as they are. And things don't always go the way you expect them to in terms of timeline. And if people knew how fertile your brain was and how many a million brilliant ideas she has, like waiting to, like, you know, she's like she's got like this library of like if some people we coached had even one of them, they'd be like, you know, and so like you've had to take care of, like, you have to pause, take care of sick kids and be part of a family and do all this other stuff. So can you share about like how you are taking care of your mind now that's allowing you to trust that this is all unfolding the way it's supposed to?
I know. Yeah. Again, I've got Kari's voice in the back of my head. Having a coach is really important. Reminding you don't have to do it all. So that's one thing that Kari taught me, was to use Post-it notes and to write all your ideas down, and then just pick 1 or 2 of them. Because like you said, I've got so many ideas and it is overwhelming. And something that you pointed out just before about the finding your intuition, spending time making sure you've got a balance between sort of the busy work, and like when you're a mum, it's like taking care of kids and you don't really have the space. It's using a different part of your brain than when you stop and do those joyful things and have the balance there where you do something creative, or you stop and just be without having to achieve or do anything. The balance between that's better than sort of focusing on a work-life balance life. I think focusing on a sort of masculine energy of doing and achieving and being in that, and then making sure that you balance that with the feminine energy of being and creative and slowing down. When I do have enough of that side of it, I am able to cope with everything so much better. And we have to realize that when we do this, it actually can be more productive in the long run than continuing to stay in this place. So allowing ourselves to stop and rest and do nothing is really important. Doing nothing is not being lazy.
Pod about that one.
Yeah, we do have an episode about that.
Yeah, I love that concept. So it actually ties in really well with the other few little techniques that I had on my strategy tool list, which is what you guys might remember from the mastery training, where Stacey talked about the concept of it's okay to be okay, because that's what I remind myself all the time, because it's okay to not be okay is common. I think, is it in America too, that sort of that tagline of it's okay not to be okay and to ask for help? Yeah, so the opposite of that is it's okay to be okay, because I find that when I get into a good place, I used to always self-sabotage and take myself back to a place where my brain felt safe, which wasn't a healthy place to be. So reminding myself that's okay to enjoy this and have fun. We're here to have fun in our life, so it's okay to be there. That's a really big thing that a lot of people don't do. Breathing, taking time to actually breathe properly. I do this all the time, and the kids do it. My Zoe did it yesterday. She was having a hard moment. She stopped and said, I need to breathe into my tummy, and she had her hand on her tummy, and it's like she's 4. And she's so aware of everything, and she picks up all the stuff. She'll be a coach in a couple of years, I think. So breathing deep and slow, and actually making time to do it at particular times of the day, so that it actually tricks your brain into getting out of a stressful state, saying that you're okay. And so it allows all the things that you need to function really well to switch back on. You've probably heard of parasympathetic and sympathetic state. Yeah. It's getting out of the stressful state and into the relaxed state. And a simple, slow, deep breath or 2 or 3 can really help with that. Disconnecting from social media for a while or modifying your social media to have empowering stuff, because I did that recently for 2 weeks. I disconnected and my brain felt so good with that. And then part of that is connecting. So actually connecting with people in real life, not on the phone, but like actually sending a message to someone and saying, when can we catch up? Or, being more present with people in your life. Real life social interaction is what we really need more of. And I find, especially, I always had this belief that I was an introvert, but actually the time that I spend with other people lifts me up, it energizes me. And that's sort of the definition of, one of the definitions of like extroversion is actually where you get your energy from. I'm a bit of both, but I have to have nice social connections with people who, it's important to note that they have to be people that don't bring you down. So be selective about who you have around you, and just really get to like know yourself. Like I'm constantly doing that. I'm constantly figuring out, or actually arguing with my brain. Like, is that my mind? Is that actually true? Or am I just making up that story? Is that a story that I'm telling myself? And actually sort of questioning myself all the time to make sure that I'm coming back to who I am. All of those things really make a big difference to being able to show up in a happier, calmer way. Yeah.
I love that.
Hopefully that helps. I know, it's probably too many, but
no, it's great. It's all good stuff. And I like we weaved it in throughout, so it was perfect. And we've got all the links in the show notes so people can look into more of this. I was taking copious notes myself so I could put some of this stuff on social media the week of your pod, so that'll be fantastic. But now's the fun part. This is where we talk about the song that you brought. So it is Shakira. I love Shakira.
I love this song too.
I know. Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about why you picked it.
It happens to be one that we're listening to a lot lately. And I say we because my 5-year-old, nearly 6-year-old Maya has a bit of a tough time sometimes with taking action on some of her schoolwork, like writing and things, because she's worried she's going to get it wrong.
Mm.
And so, but also like with kids, they're always learning new things. And so when I heard this, it happened to come up on one of their playlists at one point, and I was listening to the words. I thought, this is the perfect one for these guys, because it talks about trying everything and not worrying about failing. It's about it is kind of about being yourself, giving it everything a go, and focusing on, even if you fail, that you get up and you keep trying again, just like my 8-month-old is already standing up trying to walk. Like, she falls over and she gets back up again and keeps on going. She doesn't care that she's fallen over. And that little bit of progress all the time actually will lead to a feeling of empowerment and happiness. And so the trying everything theme of the song, I think, is magic. It's keeping things really simple. It's not like trying to do everything. It's just that little next step. And also it probably comes back to the novelty thing. Try everything. Try something new that you've never done before. Yeah. I love it. Yeah.
Kari?
Yeah, I was just trying to remember. I was literally going, you caught me Googling. I was like, what movie was it in? It was called Zootopia.
Yeah.
Animated. And my kid, like, we were somewhere where that was like the only thing we could watch. They were slightly too old for animated at that moment, although, they secretly always like it. And we watched it, and that song came on and it made me cry. It was just,
I know, it's emotional.
Like, yeah, the lyrics are really sweet. So yeah.
I think everyone should go listen to the song after this and dance and change your state, because it's quite a fun song. Yeah.
I love it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you for spending this time with us. I really love spending time with you, and I hope you give those girls a big squeeze from me. And thank you. And is there anything else? We're going to put your links there. Is there any other place you'd love for people to find you and connect with you?
What I will say is that this is all, like, putting myself out there doing this is all actually quite new, even though I've had the idea to do this for over 10 years. I've had to get out of my own way and get out of my, change my beliefs to empowering ones. And I've still got some, like, why would anyone listen to a Kiwi girl with a weird accent? Those kind of things. So if anyone finds me in the links that we'll put there, that everything's new. It's going to be a brand new focus. So there's not much there. So if you come and find me there, you'll be new with me. So yeah, so there'll be a lot. I've got a lot to share, but I'm reminding myself to just take it one step at a time and to not overwhelm people. I remember Kari saying something to me about just keeping it really simple and taking it in small little chunks, because to make sure that other people can follow along. I also remember something that you said that's really relevant here that I wanted to add, which is about the mental well-being focus, about normalizing it, humorizing it, and humanizing it. And that always sticks with me. And I think that's going to be another big part of my focus, is to go down that path. I want everyone to be able to experience sort of not the same journey as me, but getting out of the funk and out of that low sort of state and moving towards feeling like you're in control. And so every link that's there, it will all be new things.
Awesome.
So I don't really have anywhere to send you right this minute, but I'm sure I'll get it updated. I have to get it updated now.
Yeah, I love it. And spoiler alert, Americans love a Kiwi accent. So you're golden. You're golden.
Okay.
I really, Gemma, it's been such a pleasure. Kari has spoke so highly of you. I know she had such a good time spending time with you when she was in New Zealand last year. So I'm thrilled that I finally got to meet you. Now I can visualize you when she talks about you. And I really, I appreciate you spending the time with us.
No, thank you for having me. It was, this is the first time I've done this, and this just shows everyone that, from someone who was so shy, I'm now like talking online. It's you can do anything. You can try everything, and you can do anything. Yeah.
You are literally your own poster child.
Yeah. Yeah. This is crazy. Thank you so much.
Thank you. And thank you everyone for listening. And if you're listening and you found today inspiring, or someone else who could really use these really beautiful reminders, please consider sharing it with a friend.
And as always, please like and follow the pod wherever you listen to them so that you will not miss an episode. And we'll be back next week. Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.